Good morning, and thank you all for standing by. All participants will be able to listen only until the question and answer session of today's conference call. Today's call is being recorded. If anyone has any objections, you may disconnect at this time. And now I'll turn the call over to your first speaker for today. It's Janice Wingo, International Trade Administrator. Ma'am, you may begin.
Good morning, and welcome to today's China IP webinar. This morning, we're very lucky to have with us a practitioner working in Shanghai who will talk to us about how to do customs enforcement in China. Michele Ferrante is an Italian licensed lawyer who spent many years working in China, particularly in Shanghai. He has his Juris Doctorate degree from the State University of Milan, and he is a partner with Schmitzer Ho and Ferrante in Shanghai. After Mr. Ferrante gives his presentation, the lines will be open for questions and answers. Michele?
Yes. Yeah, good morning to everybody. Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good morning to everybody. Okay, the first, I would like to give you just a brief introduction of what is actually the main steps that actually China did in relation to IPR protection concerning to custom. So in 2000, the first step in relation, in general concerning the IPR protection in China was also custom considered. In 2004, there was the new regulation considering the possibility for a rights owner, trademark owner, copyright and patent to register their rights at custom and activating a system of protection at the Chinese custom. In 2006, the custom and the PSB, that is the Public Security Bureau, so the police, signed a cooperation agreement in order to enforce also the criminal level cases related to infringing goods seized at the custom. And just to give you some numbers, in 2010 the Chinese customs stopped 21,000 shipments of infringing goods that were sent abroad. So in the Chinese custom, the first important consideration we have to make is that actually they are doing a good job, great job, I would say, in relation to goods exported abroad. So they stop the goods, infringing goods that are produced in China and shipped abroad. The second, and in order to give you also an idea of the good job that the custom did in few years, because as I say, the custom were activated. The real activation of custom you can consider starting 2004. From 2004 up to today, so in at least 8 years, they were able to create a practice that is really considerably remarkable. And actually, in 2006, they have been awarded by the Global Anti-Counterfeiting, the Global Anti-Counterfeiting Award. In 2007, from the World Customs Organization. 2008 and 2011, the major rights owner association in China recognized the good job performed by the Chinese custom in the protection of IPR rights. So let's see the main advantages. As I mentioned, in 2004, the new regulation allowed the introduction of the protection of IPR system at the customs. So the rights owner can file or record at the custom their rights. So talking about trademarks, copyright, patent, and design. After this recorder, the custom will check the goods bearing, for example, trademarks, and will be able to inform the rights owner of goods that are shipped abroad. let's see that the main advantage that actually this kind of survey represent for the rights owner. So the custom will proactively take protection measure. So they will check the goods, and if they consider the goods are infringing or not from an authorized producer or dealer, they will inform the rights owner. The record also helps, as I said, the custom in the identification of infringing goods. After we'll see in the next slides how they proceed in doing that, and how the rights owner can help actually the custom in doing this kind of activity. And generally, as I will better mention in the next slide, the custom will ask a bond, and so in the amount of money that the rights owner has to transfer to the custom in 3 days, or sometimes when we're talking about a rights owner that is not based in China, it represents an issue because it's difficult to have the money transfer on time. So is it possible to have a general bond? So it's basically a letter of guarantee of a Chinese bank, and through this general bond, all the seizures are guaranteed with this general bond, and the rights owner has not to transfer the money on every seizure. What kind of rights can be actually registered at the custom? But, well, first of all, for sure, trademarks, because it's easy for a custom to detect trademark infringement. China can be registered national trademark registration, but also international trademark registration extended to China. In relation to international trademark registration, the rights owner has to file an application for what we call a trademark confirmation certificate. Is basically a certificate, a draft in Chinese, where the trademark office, Chinese trademark office, confirmed that the international trademark has been extended to China for a certain goods or service. Design also can be filed, invention, patent invention, utility models, copyright and copyright. What is important to mention now is actually that in case the rights owner is not based in China, it needs an agent that actually follow the procedure and will represent in relation to custom actions the rights owner in China. Okay, just to give you a few, the documents that are necessary to record the rights in China. So power attorney, but it's very simple. IPR holder identification, so it's business license basically. The certificate, of course, a copy of the certificate. And it is important, if you produce in China and with the license, the Chinese custom required to have a copy of the contract. This is very important because a consideration I would like to make in relation to the license. I had a client that once is a big fashion company in Italy, and they were translating all the license with, of course, an investment, a huge cost for translation in Chinese of all the license. And here is, in case, you got many license, or in case you got information in the license agreement that you don't want to disclose to the customer, is it possible to file at the custom a short version of the license agreement where stated actually that party? Basically, the customer is just interested to know who are the official dealer, authorized dealers, so importer, exporter, producer, OEM, and in order to avoid that actually they stock goods that at the end they come from authorized producer. there are other kind of information that, of course, it's better to give to the customer. The customer requires, like photo of the original goods and packaging, and this also can help the customer for to verify the goods stop, and after make the first exam in relation to the quality and to the nature of the goods. And of course, also, if there's been cases in the past, it is interesting to give to the customer all the information so they can detect if there are infringer that they already exported goods abroad. As official fees, the cost is not very important because it's just 800 RMB. That means what is $150 more or less. In this, for all is it for at least 10 years of the duration of the rights, and when it lasts, you can also, is renewable, and in this case, you don't need to pay any fees. So it is, quite reasonable. The application to record the rights it can be done online, but after the GACC, that is General Administration for Custom, require that all the documents are sent via post, and all the documents must be translated, of course, in Chinese. Chinese Custom does not receive any document in English, and even if, for example, because some clients require power attorney or documents that are bilingual, so in English and Chinese, and in this case, Custom gave us some issue because they did not want to receive these documents bilingual, because although some officials speak English, they don't want to, all the official language is Chinese, and so they do not want to receive documents. They've got language that drafting a language that is not Chinese. And once everything is completed, the process, it takes generally 2 months, so it's quite fast. Okay, let's go to the action. So in case the custom detects a shipment that is considered infringing one of the rights already registered, the custom provisionally seize the suspect's good and inform their trademark owner, rights owner, and in 3 days the rights owner has to IPR holder has to reply and confirm if the goods are counterfeit, infringing or not. The problem is, the issue is that many customs are now organized with internet. They can send you pictures and via email, so it's possible to reply before the deadline. The problem is if in relation to the nature of the goods or the quality of the goods, and sometimes the exam of the picture is not sufficient to confirm whether or not they are counterfeiting. So it is necessary to send someone at the custom to stop the goods, and 3 days sometimes is quite short. If the rights owner has not applied for a general bond, he also has to pay the bond before the 3 days, and this is another practical issue that sometimes give their IPR owner some issue. Once that the customer has received the confirmation that the goods are infringing, the customs starts an administrative action, seize the goods, confiscate the goods, and generally will find the exporter, and after a while the goods will be destroyed. So generally will be destroyed, but the laws provide also the possibility to for the IP holder to purchase the goods, which I do not suggest, to be honest. Could be how to say, neutralize. So if it's possible to remove the trademark, you can donate to charity, and or if not, the goods will be destroyed. The storage and disposal cost will be charged to the IPR owner. Generally, because the IPR owner has paid at the beginning a bond, the cost of storage and destruction will be deducted before giving back the bond to the right owner. There is, there is also another procedure that the rights owner can use, and this in case that there's not prior record at the custom, but the rights owner had received the information or know the information about the shipment, so knows the number of the container, number of the shipment, the day that the shipment is going through a port, and which custom should be contacted. So in this case, the custom can proceed and stop the container. If the custom will find the goods, will seize the goods, and generally will ask to the rights owner to pay a bond that in this case is quite high, because would go up to the value of the goods seized. This, as you can imagine, this procedure as a practical level is very difficult to carry, because the rights owner must have a quantity of information that is very difficult to get, and so I haven't seen many in the last year, to be. As I mentioned at the beginning, the custom, if the quantity and value of the goods seized reach the criminal threshold, it should transfer the file at the PSB, so to the police. The police will start basically a criminal investigation that will end up in a criminal action against the exporter and maybe against the producer too. There are more and more custom actually that transfer cases to the PSB, although this is going quite slow, and there are not so many cases, but is becoming more and more frequent. Custom training. Custom training are really, really important in my opinion, because we learned a few years ago that Chinese authorities, Chinese officials, they do not know the original version of the trademark, even of very famous trademark. We were in a meeting with, not with the customer, with the IC, the National Administrative Authority in China, and we understood at some moment that we were referring to the client with his original trademark in Roman character, and we understood that they did not recognize the trademark. This was a very famous trademark in a very big fashion company in Italy. So we understood that it's very important to trainings in order to make them understand that the original version of the trademark is represented in this way, and of course, if our goods exported, they will not reproduce the Chinese version of the trademark. It's very important also to explain to the custom official the quality and the nature of the original goods in order to make it easier for them to recognize infringing goods. And it's also important to make understand that to the custom that the rights owner is really, how to say, beside them in the action and in the activity against IPR infringement. So, as said, we we consider that it's very important to file the rights at the custom, but the file is just the first step, in my opinion. It's very important to follow the custom activity, organize training with them, trying to make them understand what are the characteristics of the product or the trademark. Of course, if you are talking about patent, design, and copyright, is even more important. Customers are really willing to learn and to have more and more information from the rights owner. Now they're organizing also visit to factories in case the rights owner is producing in China to better understand how the original goods are produced. They organize different kind of training over the year. So it's very important to file trademarks and assist custom in their activity. Thank you for your participation. I think that now you can pose the question that there's anyone that Janice?
Yes, thank you very much, Michele.
Okay.
I did not.
Did you want me to prompt for questions at this time, ma'am?
Please.
Yes, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your touch-tone phone and record your first and last name so that you may be announced. In order to withdraw your question, you will press star 2. Once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your touch-tone phone and record your first and last name so that you may be announced. One moment, please, for our first question.
Michele, sometimes when Chinese customs come and speak with the United States government, they complain that they will send off a fax to the rights holder. They'll find goods that they suspect are infringing, and they'll send a fax off to the rights holder at the legal address, maybe in New York. But the rights holder will not reply within the 3-day time period. Could you talk about the importance of having a local agent who speaks Chinese so you can respond within the 3-day time period?
Well, as I said, is very important because, as you said, the first communication is via fax. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of customs that are not organized with internet. I mean, they got internal, they got computers, but they said to me, for safety reason, they are not connected to internet. Very strange. So it's very important to have a local agent that actually is able to, first of all, because I believe that the fax is in Chinese, so it's very important to have a local agent that understands that this is a communication from the customer. You have 3 days to reply, and it's very important also to have a local agent because in case that you don't receive picture or you need to go to the custom and examine the goods, you got someone that can, let's say, easily or for sure with the journey that is short that are coming from the United States, go and examine or maybe take a picture of the goods and send via email the picture. Maybe this person that goes is not an expert, but has got information from the experts that say to him what he has to take picture of. So the expert after with this picture are able to examine the goods and confirm whether or not these goods are counterfeited. And also, as I said, for the bond, this is very important. Although now I believe that it's becoming more and more necessary to have a general bond because if not in 3 days, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for the local agent, to face all the bonds that different clients might need, and it's very difficult for the rights owner to send the money from the United States in 3 days into the Chinese customs. So, yeah, absolutely, I confirm it's very important, local agent.
It looks like we have a question from Mark Cleveland. Your line is open, sir.
Hello. Thank you. This is very interesting. I was interested in asking you to just spend a little bit more time on the initial registration of IPR. Our company has products manufactured in the United States and primarily distributed in the United States, and we're interested in trying to make sure that we have laid some proper groundwork for protecting the brand and designs, et cetera, in other countries. So could you spend a little time talking about that if you were not yet infringed upon, but you're worried about that being a possibility? And
yes,
it was very simple. So.
Well, first point, I believe that, and this is very important, is to consider if your portfolio, talking about China, is complete, considering also Chinese, I don't want to say laws, because Chinese laws now, they are more and more closer to international laws, international agreements, so this is okay, but maybe Chinese interpretation that sometimes are different, in particular talking about subclasses and maybe also the version of the trademark. But once that your portfolio is, is confirmed that it is okay, I would start. Now I don't know what goods your companies produce, but trademark for sure, because trademark is the easiest thing to detect for the custom. Of course, if you got particular issue also with design, it's very important to file design to or copyright and organize a strategy related to trainings, maybe in the area where you think that it is easier, that are producer that can export your kind of goods. There are also some custom, they've got a blacklist, so the blacklist exporter. So, for example, if you know that there is an infringer that produce and export goods, you can work with custom for this. Or you can do investigation, try to have more information and understand where these people, the custom that generally use to export goods. So, also here, it's very important to have a local agent in order to talk to the custom, and also from them have a feedback and understand what they need to basically to do a better job.
Mark, this is Janice with the International Trade Administration. We actually have another webinar on trademark fundamentals, and if you'll send me an email, I'll happy to send you the link. It explains the subclass system, which Michele was discussing earlier.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I don't have your email immediately handy.
It's Janice, Janice .wingo @trade.gov.
My company has a federal registered trademark on its brand and has probably got a relatively strong portfolio. It's just we haven't taken steps to extend that internationally beyond what I think it comes with normally. So.
Well, a trademark is territorial, so you will only have protection in the United States for a federally registered mark. You will not have any protection in China. And I have to advise you that China is a first-to-file system. Michele, you could probably explain how clients come to you and someone else has registered their trademark fraudulently.
Yeah, well, we were speaking about this last time you were in China. Unfortunately, China. There are Chinese citizens, let's say, are very active in IPR protection, but not in the proper way, let's say. So basically what they do, they really register a lot of foreign trademarks, and before even the rights owner decide or start to sell its goods in China. So I think that at least the Roman character version of the trademark, so the original trademark as it is, it should be filed as soon as possible in China, in my opinion. Because if not, Chinese authority will not protect your trademark. Because with the international trademark not extended to China, or national trademark not registered in other country and not in China, unfortunately, it's very difficult. And if as I said, one of your competitor will file before you, that will be a big problem. Also because, when we started in China more than 10 years ago, infringers, they were really, not to say passive, so you could do action against them, but they were not reacting. Now I've experienced in the last years, they know what they are doing, so that they react. They wait that you export your goods to China. They file a civil case. Sometimes they try also criminal action. They stop your goods at the custom. So, it's something that I would suggest to consider to file at least in the class of interest, and for the trademark, the main trademark, I would suggest to file the trademark as soon as possible in China.
Thank you.
And there are no further questions on the audio portion.
Michele, can I ask you about the trainings?
Yes.
When I used to do this, we used to go in with I represented a handbag company, and they used to go in with handbags and explain the difference. We also would prepare a booklet detailing the differences between the genuine product and the fake product. Could you tell me a little bit more about when you go in and do the trainings, or when the trainings are actually done at the factory, when the customs come to the actual factory?
Yeah, it really depends of what kind of goods we are speaking about. Because, for example, we got a very important chocolate company, Italian chocolate company, and of course during the training, we offered chocolate to all the custom official, and after we got slides introducing to them what are, as you say, the characteristics of the original goods. In particular, here is quite tricky because the client has got a three-dimensional trademark, so we can protect also the shape of their chocolate, and we underline the difference between, as you say, between original goods and infringing goods. We also leave to the officials so they can use in their day-by-day work, as you say, a leaflet of 2 pages with the main characteristic of original goods, if there are sub-trademark, for example, or other important information they can use to detect infringing goods during their activity, normal activity, day-by-day activity. For example, we got other clients that do fashion business, and we got a client that is very well known in China for male fashion. So the training staff, you always have a shirt or a jacket, so the official can try the jacket, can see how the jacket is produced and the quality of the jacket. And it's also there are 2 important factors during the meeting. One, to give the right information to the customer, because, for example, I've got some clients, they say they complain a bit, or they were surprised about our presentation, but they said this is not a commercial presentation. We are not doing marketing. We give them the tools to recognize the infringing goods. So it's very important to say them, we do not produce in France. So if it's made in France, it's not us. If there is this trademark beside this other trademark, it's not us. We never do this. Or also the quality of the goods, and say, you see, they cannot, to show to the custom what kind of, how the original goods are produced. And this is to one end. The other side is also, I would say, psychological. Give to the custom the reason to stop the goods and go and examine the goods. You have to imagine how many goods and containers go through every custom in China. So if they do not feel that the rights owner is behind them, beside them, to give them all the information, reacting quickly, and really determining the protection of their rights, they got reason to not be so performant, let's say.
Okay. Well, we've gone a little bit over our time because we had so many questions. Are there any more?
No, ma'am. There are no further questions.
I wanted to thank Mr. Ferrante for his time, and if you have additional questions, you can email Michele at michele@sflaw.it, and he will answer your questions on Customs Service Portal with Chinese Customs.
I hope that the presentation has been clear and to give you an idea of the importance of of custom registration and so an overview of the activity of the Chinese custom in China.
It has. Thank you very much, Michele.
Okay. Have a good day and talk to you soon. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.